This is a Two Front podcast.
You got a crooked smile, well that don't bother me much. You double over working double time, you double tough. I'll just shine it up until the sun hit like a glare. I gotta dare, get the fuck up out the chair.
Happy Dentist Gang. Imagine you've left dental school and you've taken on millions in debt to start your practice because that's what you're supposed to do. Everything you can imagine can go wrong, does go wrong. You're sitting in your office one day crying because you realize that you might lose it all. Then your dad walks in, sees you sobbing, and says he'll work for you for free just to keep you afloat. This isn't just a story, it's what happened to today's guest. He's gone from nearly bankrupt to building one of the most successful dental practices in the United States. He's a master of collaborative practice models. He knows how to build systems that prevent burnout and understands that dentistry isn't just about clinical skills and systems. Through love and leadership, he's built a massive 13,000 square foot dental practice, hired 30 associates, and has now hired one of the top hotel design firms in the world to reimagine his practice. His podcast has 2.9 million downloads. He's hosted dental summits with over 500 attendees, and he's learned exactly how dentists can work smarter, not harder, through his own painful experiences. Dr. Craig Spodak, welcome to The Happy Dentist.
Yeah, well, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for making this happen. I'm friends with Kyle and Christian, and nice to meet you, and congrats on what you guys are doing. I think it's amazing, and I'm thankful that there's great voices in dentistry to support our profession because I think we need it. And yes, your introduction was correct. I have failed my way forward and got my butt kicked every single possible way. So now I'm like that, you see that wolf with like 50 arrows in their back. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm un-F-withable at this point.
You started one of the first podcasts in dentistry, I believe. There were not many people doing it when you started. For how long you've been doing it?
So Peter had a fledgling podcast that sucked before I joined it. He had like 3 episodes. I'm gonna make fun of Peter Bolden, my co-host, because he's not here. But he had like 3 episodes, and it was 2017. And he was like, I listened to one of them, like, listen, I want to join that. Let's do this. So we started doing it, and almost 400 episodes, and we've had a lot of fun, and we were just literally like friends, and we were just trying to share our best practices, and we just didn't really have an agenda. But dentistry is a lonely place, and over the years we've had 8 or 9 summits, and I've had people come up to me at the end of summit with looks in their eyes where they said, listen, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know how to cope. And it shed a new light on what we were doing. I had no idea to the how lonely and desperate our profession has been. So it started out just sharing our best practices and kind of just talking crap, and it's grown into its own unique thing. And I'm really thankful that Peter put the podcast together and created the content, and we're serving dentistry in our own way in our little niche we have.
So from your podcast, it became an annual event, became a community. This is still going, right? You guys
We had Kyle was speaking at our conference in Las Vegas at the Wynn. We had 500 people in attendance for that one a couple of years ago. Wow. This year is at the Ritz-Carlton, August 8th and 9th. We have a summit once a year, of course, and we have the mastermind, which is our intimate community, where we take on 30, 40 dentists. We really get into their practices. We help them understand that they have to create a business beyond just the skill that they provide with their own 2 hands. And we work with office managers. We work with hygienists. So we have bulletproof hygiene, bulletproof office manager. So we have bulletproof team. So it's a whole community. That's what's really broken, unfortunately. Dentists go off and learn on their own. Office managers go off and learn on their own, and there's no traction. There's no alignment. So we believe that the secret sauce is bringing everybody together and getting people. Tony Robbins, who's a person I really respect, he always says, knowledge is not power, execution is power. So learning on your own does not do anything. And like we all do, dentists go off and they learn, and they come back to the office on Monday and like, oh, this is going to be great, team. We're going to do all this great stuff. And then the people that are veterans and tenured in the office, like, oh, don't worry about Dr. Jones. By Wednesday, he'll be off of this shit. And it's true. We fall apart because what happens is the dental office is completely fragmented. The front admin team does not get along with the clinical team. The hygienists have tension, and that tension and lack of alignment is what puts the brakes on the business of dentistry.
Uh-huh.
So that's what we tried to solve.
Craig, you ruined my son with that hotel room that you put us up in at the Wynn. Craig put us up. I brought my family to this event, and he put us up in the biggest hotel room that I've ever been in. And so now whenever we go places, my son goes, "Is it going to be like the one in Vegas?" I'm like, "No, you're never going to be in one that big again. That's
Yeah.
not going to happen."
I
So
saw your pictures. You had a nicer one than I did, for sure.
thank you for ruining my family.
I was at
yeah.
the Ramada. No disrespect to the Ramada off the Strip, but it was quite a commute to get back to the Wynn.
Craig, so I want to ask you just outright, for the sake of this podcast and everything that you just said, why do you think most dentists are unhappy dentists?
I think it's like if you never played tennis before. I know, Christian, you're a tennis player. If you go play tennis against a pro and you've never played tennis before, you're going to be in defense mode. You're just going to try not to get whacked with balls at that point. And that's what I think happens to most dentists. They are told through the narrative of our dental community that the best thing you can possibly do is open your own business. So we learn occlusion, we learn a little bit of occlusion, we learn a little bit about patient management, we learn nothing about leading a team, and we learn nothing about running a business. And we find ourselves with 110% financing from Acme Bank. And, the dental supply house has told us you need to build at least 12 chairs. And all of a sudden we're like, holy shit, what am I doing? How am I going to make this work? And there's no community for us. So we were told this thing and we wind up going into it because we hijacked someone else's narrative or what we should do. And we wind up in a very dark place. I was in that place, 30 associates having to sleep next to a legal pad by my bed of like, what the hell did I do? Who can I borrow money from? How am I going to make this work? Can I renegotiate with the bank? And I just got lucky because I had a really good support group of business friends. They were not dentists. They were business owners. And they sat with me and they said, okay, this is what this means. And this is how you do this. And this is how you do that. So I think it's because there's a pervasive narrative, and the narrative tells us what we should do. And most dentists listen to it and they find themselves in a place where they're ill-equipped to compete.
Let's break that down. What is the narrative that dentists fall into, and what are the business skills that they're missing?
So I had a funny conversation right before a summit a couple of years ago with some podcast guests that are friends. That I'll tease them, but I won't want to mention their name. Before I said, business is stressful. And these guys said to me, well, my business never stresses me out. And I said, well, with all due respect, you don't have a business. You have a job. If I have to depend on me, I don't stress me out. I know I can perform. Kyle, Christian, we can all perform. Put us in a chair, give us a patient, we're going to kill it. Business is leveraging people. I said, you have a job. Your job doesn't stress you out. My business stresses me out because I'm depending on 65 other people to perform at a high level, and I have to lead them. So what I think is happening is two things. Number one, you have to decipher whether you have a job or a business. And I want to tell the audience, no, I have no judgment. My dad had a job. He lived a very good life. We grew up in a very great lifestyle. He never had the stress that I had to deal with. He just practiced dentistry and it was wonderful. He made tons of money. It was very cool for him. It was perfect. I think if you want to create a business, it's a whole set of skills that you have to learn. And I think the narrative is in place that you should open up your own practice and that you should be a CEO and that you should open up 5 more or 6 more or 10 more. And that at some point you come in and there's private equity and you sell the whole thing and then you go sip champagne on a boat. And I don't know what you do at that point, but that's not my narrative. That's not what I believe. And when I meet dentists, I ask them what they want to do and they'll tell me these things like, I want to open up 5 practices. Okay, great. Why? Well, of course. What do you mean why? I want to sell to private equity. Okay, cool. And then what? You'll be 38 in 5 years. What are you going to do if you make this 15, 20, 30, whatever the money is? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go on a boat. Okay, well, cool. For how long are you going on that damn boat for? I mean, a month, 2 months? Like, talk to me. I've been on boats for after 2, 3 weeks in a boat. I'm like, okay, let me get back to something. And they haven't solved the problem beyond that. So it's this idea more and more and more, and then it's going to reach some mythical place. I think you want to get to a place where you love your life. And I don't think you can truly love your life if you don't have purpose.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
a boat is shitty purpose.
When was
Craig,
just when was the year that you hit the bottom, that you realize, when
Which
was that?
bottom?
Yeah, the one on your you're mentioning about the business, when you realize, oh my God, what I'm doing, you know, and I will explain why I'm asking.
Yeah.
The first
So
rung
the
down.
there's a couple troughs,
Yeah.
and I always thought they were the bottom, and then there was a new bottom.
Uh-huh.
So first bottom is, um, I get the bank to say yes, on this massive loan. I did an SBA loan, a small business administration loan. I couldn't come up with the money. 5 banks said no to me. One of them even said, like, listen, you're a nice kid, but you got a young family. You don't know what you're signing. You're basically signing away all provisions of protection, meaning if you go bankrupt under these provisions, we're still going to come get you. Meaning, if you have $15 and that's for baby food, we're going to take the $15 away from your baby. This was literally the conversation. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I feel like, you know what? Let me just do this. So the first depression was signing the loan, and then my business. I made a move. I went entirely fee for service right when I signed the loan. I thought I was untouchable. I thought I was like the Jeff Bezos of dentistry. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to send a letter to every patient and go off of every insurance plan. Which in hindsight, you want to be careful when you do that. You want to just take away one, wait 6 months, see how it works, take away another one, slowly go out of network. I sent a Dear John letter to like 2,000 patients, and it really tanked my top line. That was the first trough. And I called up Acme PE company. I said,
Did they come after the $50, your baby food, whatever?
no, because I didn't go broke.
Okay.
It's a happy story. I'll
Okay.
tell it quickly.
Yeah.
So, I sign up, I freak out. I call up Acme DSO, and I'm like, guys, I'm ready. Come get me. Take me. I'm ready. And they give me an LOI, a letter of intent, and the building's going up. And one of my dear friends, Randy, who's a very successful entrepreneur, he said to me, he wrote me this beautiful letter. He's like, don't sell. Dentists are who we want our daughters to marry. Dentists are who banks want to lend to. Dentists are never going to go broke. You charge on like an entrepreneurial effing wrecking ball, and you'll look back on this. He just like gave me this amazing like Braveheart speech, and I'm like, screw it, I'm in. So that was that. Then the real trough hits. The real trough is this. The building's built. I
The
had,
one I went to.
yeah.
Beautiful, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, way over crazy. I never 13,000 square feet, no expense spared. I had a world-renowned artist design the building. It doesn't look like a dental office at all. So during my loan process, I was working with a bank, and I found out this bank might be sold. And I knew I was going to be coming in on a wing and a prayer on this dental endeavor. So I knew I had to have a good relationship with the bank. And they assured me they weren't going to be sold. Nothing's going to happen. And lo and behold, halfway through the process, the bank gets sold. And I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be the end of me. Because I know by the time it goes from construction to permanent loan, I'm going to be in serious trouble. So my construction loan was $5,000 a month. My permanent loan was $35,000. So it's January of 2020. Oh geez, I don't know. 2013, sorry. And the bank is sold, and I have like $80,000 in the bank account. My payroll is like $100 a month, and I'm losing sleep every night. I have a legal pad next to my bed because I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and say, like, oh yeah, Michael's rich. I'll borrow 100 grand from him. And oh, Johnny's rich. I'll borrow 25 grand from him. And I'm a wreck. My wife is freaking out. I have 2 babies at home. And I remember telling my wife the story, like, we need to talk. And I'm a little worried about what I've done and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, wait, what's going on? Are we okay? And she starts crying. I'm like, oh, no, we're fine. And I never talked to her about it again. I was like, as I had no one to talk to. And so what happened was and I was afraid to tell the story for a very long time, but in the confusion of the bank being sold, I got lost in the paperwork. So in January, instead of getting a $35,000 construction loan payment, I got the same $5,000 construction loan. I didn't get the permanent $35,000. I got the construction loan at $5,000. So I got a $30,000 line of credit by the grace of God. And then February comes along, and instead of getting the $70,000 request, I get another $5,000 request. So now I have a $60,000 line of credit by the grace of God. This goes on all the way till October. I talk to my real estate friends. I'm like, do I need to tell the bank anything? They no, the bank's fine. Like the bank will make it right. Don't worry. Don't out yourself. And so what happened was that I got lost in confusion. In October, instead of getting a $300,000 or $350,000 loan request, I got my first $35,000 loan request. So I can tell you all these skills and all these great things that I learned, but if I'm being intellectually honest, I got really fucking lucky. Sorry if I cursed. I don't know if this is an explicit
we
podcast.
curse all the time.
But I got
in
really
our
lucky.
tagline.
Yeah, I got lucky. I got lost in the confusion. That's what happened. But rewind back to January. I'm sitting in my office. What did I do? I can't believe I did this. And I'm crying. And my dad comes in, and Christian, you know, you're a second, third generation dentist like me. And my dad comes in, he sees me sobbing, and he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Dad, I don't know what the hell I did. I don't know why I did this. This is crazy." And he's like, "Craig, you're the strongest person I know. Like, I can't believe you're crying. Like, please talk to me. What's going on?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm going to go broke." And my dad says, "I will work for free. You do not have to pay me $1. I will work 5 days a week. We will not fail." And it was beautiful. And I remember he's hugging me, and I'm like, 35 years old, 38 years old. Now I'm crying. And when you're crying, your dad's hugging. Like, I felt like a child again, but it was a beautiful story. And it was realized that I did it for legacy. And, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for that risk. So that's the story.
Craig, why do you think
That's
that
amazing.
dentists don't value soft skills? Maybe until they need to.
Well, if you look at, so the dentist is the hero. And, that's the story brand marketing guide. So it's like you have 3 parts to a story: the hero, the villain, and the guide. A dentist needs to be the guide, not the hero. So when you look at a dentist website, I went to the prestigious blah, 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 and I learned this from that person, and I got a degree in this. Patients like, who gives a shit? What about me? How is this relevant to me? So I think that, when you ask a dentist, how's your case acceptance? Oh, it's 100%. How's your injections? Perfect. What's your success rate? It's 100%. They don't understand that they are not the main character, as my kids would say. The patient is the main character. So that extends out to your team. Like, I had one of my assistants was at a prestigious course, an aesthetic course this weekend. And the instructor asked for some sort of core material. And she gave him the conditioning, the agent to the doctor. And he said, "Can I get the light too?" And she said, "Doctor, with all due respect, you don't have to use a light for this. I've read the instructions. There's no light needed." He got so butthurt and so angry. But I want my team to think. I don't want my team to just be a bunch of order takers. But when she left my ecosystem and went to this high level, aesthetic course, he was offended by it. So speaking of soft skills, I mean, if that doctor's running his practice like he ran that course, all these good ideas are never hitting him.
Craig, so like, I think the problem that I see is, like, we're ingrained as a profession with this ego problem, which I think is right, Kyle, what you coined. And to your point of, like, it's all about the
I
execution.
don't know if it's the ego. It's just the tradition, because in the past it was good enough and people would work out their way. It's dentistry for so many decades was so generous that we could be a shitty manager of our business and still have a good life.
Yeah, when Craig was saying that about his dad, I just thought exactly that's how my dad was. He did very well. We had a good life.
Were there necessary?
He was never working on
Were there better
being a
businessmen
business.
than you? No, they were not better businessmen than us.
No,
And
they
they-
didn't have to be
No.
business people.
They didn't have
They
to.
had to.
So
They just had to
why-
control expenses,
Yeah.
know how to pay people, and just be good doctors.
But at a certain point in history, and that's what we need to analyze, dentistry changed. It became much more tougher to own the business for many circumstances. And we need to analyze all these circumstances that makes the situation today that it's not about being a good dentist. That's not enough. Why it's not enough anymore? That's the question.
Well, it's like that book. It's like the book, Who Moved My Cheese? So
Yeah.
imagine you were an independent coffee roaster, 15, 20 years ago in your local town. You serve very good coffee, and you did your thing. And then Starbucks moves around. And Starbucks comes in and changes everything. So you're like your shitty furniture, and like they have all these great beverages and they have all these great customer service. Like Starbucks still, even my local Starbucks, they still know who I am. And they're like, flat white again? I'm like, damn, these guys are good.
Yeah.
So it's just, you don't have to change until it's necessary.
Mhm.
And then what happened is, while everybody was sleeping, there were people out there that got really good, and
Yeah.
it changed the game.
That's it. That's exactly what happened.
But there is still, I mean, to what Ingrid was saying, there is still an ego associated with it, because it's I am
the doctor thing. The doctor.
yeah, if I'm a good, I like to say that dentists like to think that skills are only with your hands, but skills can be with your mind, skills can be with how you communicate, skills can be with your physicality, right? And
The ego makes it worse. The ego.
yes, that's right. Yeah, maybe that's
Well,
the way
it
to
does,
say it,
because a
Christian.
doctor will say something like, when you talk to a doctor, like, hey, maybe you should get a scanner. My patients don't mind impressions. Maybe you should get a milling unit in your office so you can deliver same-day crowns. My patients don't mind a second visit. It's only 20 minutes. It's another shot. No big deal. No, it's not 20 minutes. You left your house. It's 20 minutes to get there. You get numb again. Like if in my mouth, if in my
It's
mouth, I
trading
want a
time
same-day
for
crown.
money. It's trading
Right.
time for money at the end of the day. So
But
if you
that
were to come in,
paternalistic behavior, though, sorry to cut you, Ingrid, that
Yeah.
I just want to bring in the ego again. I know what my patients want.
Yes.
They don't mind an impression. They don't mind a tempore.
Mhm,
That's the
mhm,
ego.
mhm.
Your customer, and then when they leave you, you're like, oh, patients suck and they
Crazy
don't have any
patient.
loyalty. It's the patient's fault. They don't care. No, jackass, you didn't serve them.
Yeah.
so Craig, if you were to summarize it in one or two sentences, what's the fundamental shift that dentists have to make? What is it?
So in a free market, the customer will vote with their dollars. So pay attention. If you don't infer what you think your patients want, take clues from elsewhere in other retail environments and go there. Because dentistry is a form of retail. The only thing that's medically necessary is an extraction. Beyond that, everything else is an upsell. So when you buy a car or you buy coffee or you choose a hotel, what are they doing to attract their customers? Pay attention.
So focus on marketing.
No, marketing, innovation is what you focus on. So all business is just innovation and marketing, but you must innovate first. If you're just marketing, you're not different. You'll slip into the sea of sameness. You have to be remarkable, and then you tell your story. So the first challenge is innovate. Pay attention. What do patients want? Look at what happened to banks. People don't say, oh, I wish I could go back to the bank and deposit my check. I really miss Becky, the teller. They voted with their dollars. If you don't have mobile deposit as a bank, you're screwed. So if you're saying the same thing, the corollary would be patients don't mind goopy impressions. Patients don't mind 2-3 visit dentistry. That's the same thing as the banker saying, by the way, there's a true story. The CEO of Blockbuster had an offer to be bought by Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
He famously said no, because I believe people like to come in and browse at the store, which was fine until you get a $25 no rewind fee on your video that you forgot to rewind, and people are like, screw this, I'm out. So the ego, as Christian was saying, I know better, I know, and then you blame them. No, you work for your customer. Our boss is our patient. I am not the boss of this organization. Our patient is everyone's boss.
One thing that one of our previous guests said, Martin Mendelsohn, that I love, he said, similar, and it goes to what Craig said, is like, when we're sitting down doing dentistry, that's the only thing that's unique about what we do. After that, everything is like every other business. Yeah. And it's very similar to what Craig just said.
Other businesses are much better than us.
So
way
good.
better.
They're so
Everything
good.
else.
They're so good.
Yeah.
But one commonality, when you look at a business that you admire, whether it's local or regional or national, if you meet the leader, there's always an iconic leader behind every iconic business. A business cannot outgrow the shadow of its owner. And every time I've gone to a local restaurant or a local place and everybody's vibing, I can feel it.
Mhm.
I'm like, is the owner here? Yeah, he is. Why? He's always here. I'm like, or she's always here. I'm like, can I meet her? And she's always dynamic. I'm like, your people are so awesome. She'll tell me something. I love my people. I love them. I'll do anything for my people.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I'll
Well,
go and I'm
that's
like,
how
nice
I
to
felt
meet
when
you. And then I'll meet the one of the employees. I'm like, how's the boss? Oh my God, Suzanne's amazing. When my kid was sick, she paid for my kid's surgery. So it's like, this is not rocket science.
Mhm.
You
That's how
got
I felt when I met you, Craig. I met Craig in 2017 in Miami at a Noble Biocare event, and we met, I think, through Christian or through other friends. And he's one of these guys that the minute you talk to him, you realize, like, I felt comfortable. I met him for 5 minutes, and I was like, I would hand over my kid to this guy. I would
It's not
like
a good idea.
let him let him come into my house. Everything. And I think that there's no question on why you've been successful, because you're good with people. Like, I have never seen Craig's preps. I've seen like his before and afters on Invisalign, and they're very good. But I've never seen his preps. But I know that he's a good dentist because of the person that he is.
Yeah, I care, and thank you for the compliment. Those are kind words. But let me point out where I got it all wrong. So yes, my heart. My heart is to help people, and I care about my patients. And when there's bad outcomes, I lose sleep. Like, we're not in the AC business. If you screw up an AC, you can build a new AC. There's a human being attached to our results. And when you have a business where you have 10 or, a couple doctors or many people, it's an extension of, you're vicariously liable, but also on a ethical level, an emotional, on a godly level, you're responsible for everything that happens here. And if you care, it's going to be hard on you. So one of the things that happened to me is I cared so much and I saw potential in people. I was overly hard on my team, really hard. And I wish I could take back, there was like 10 years of me being a total jackass leader. And it was done out of it was done out of love. I said, I believe in you, Doc, you can do better. But I was so harsh on them. I was judging them, and they felt, um, they weren't being led by me. They weren't being guided. There's a very famous quote that I live my life by. It says, if you treat people as they currently are, you make them worse. But if you
Mm.
treat people as they could be, you help them become what they're capable of becoming. So you have to lead people and meet them where they are. And the first and the hardest thing you have to do is change your heart condition. Because if you're judging someone, you cannot influence them. And I was judging everyone. And I was really a shitty leader because of that, even though my heart
No, no,
condition was good
repeat
towards them.
that. Repeat that. If you're judging someone, you
You
cannot
cannot influence them.
influence them.
Yeah.
Oh
That
my God.
So
yes.
Dr. Jones, I'm
That was
thinking,
good.
why are you such an idiot? Can't you just freaking do this? It's not that hard. I've told you 10 times. And you're, hey, Dr. Jones, I was kind of hoping. They feel your heart condition. People
Mhm.
feel your heart condition towards them. So the
Mhm.
hardest thing is you have to lead yourself first. You have to change your heart condition. You have to say, okay, Dr. Jones, I'm going to help this person. He's a good human being. He deserves to become an iconic dentist, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help this person. You have to feel that in your heart in order to lead them.
Oh man,
Nope.
Craig, I like couldn't relate more. Like the first 3 years of running my business, like and that's kind of how I felt. I cared so much about the patients that I took it out like on the team. I was like, why are we
Yes.
getting this right? Why? And like now in
Yeah, and they
retrospect,
get scared of you.
yeah, and like they're still with me and it kills me. And like now I'm like, thank you God that like you're still with me and like you've stuck through my bad leadership. I guess I have a question for you, which is like I think there's this like almost like a come to Jesus moment in leadership where you realize like what you're saying, like this is so much bigger than me. This isn't about me. How did you transition to that point where you're like, I'm here to basically serve both my team and my patients? What was that like for you?
I was a very come to Jesus is the exact term for it. So one of my longest employees, Erica, who runs our practice and has been one of the most iconic, influential people in my life. And she also is very involved in Bulletproof, and she's got all these ADOM awards, and she's awarded. She's a big deal. She sent, so what I did first is I wrote out a descriptive vision of what I wanted to create in 2008. So it was an exercise where I said, I walk into the place that I work and it inspires me, and this is what we're doing, and this is what type of influence we're making on dentistry. I even went so far to say we have a local dentist visiting from Texas to like observe us, which is total bullshit because I had never even been to Texas at the time. And funny enough, now we have dentists from all over the world that come in to see us. But I wrote this vision out, and I was being a very poor level leader, because I cared and I was frustrated, and they could feel the frustration. And Erica, who at the time was my assistant, who now runs the place, sent me a resignation letter. And it was a beautiful resignation letter. It's 3 pages long. And essential is, I love you. I believe in you. And if you're going to continue to do it this way, I can't be part of this journey. I believe in what you want to do, but you're screwing it up, and this is how you're doing it. And I'm leaving. But it wasn't an empty threat. It was a loving goodbye, and it was real. And the morning I walked in, I saw her, and she's not an emotional person. I'm very emotional, if you don't know that. I start crying. So I'm like 6'4", and I'm crying. I'm hugging her. She doesn't even want to hug me. And I'm just like, I promise, like this, you're so right. It's thank you so much for this. And if you have to quit, you have to go. I get it. But I'm going to be different no matter what. It wasn't like, please stay. It's like, I get it. And thank you for this. And I really meant it. Thank you. And I decided at that moment forward, I was never going to be that way again. And it took a while to end. I have a lot of intensity, and now the magic formula for my practice is let me be here a little bit, but not too much, because I'm the problem. I'm an idea machine. I have a lot of energy, but I cast a very large shadow, and I suck the energy out of a room. So I know that about myself. So now I have a cattle ranch, and I leave for most of the time, and I play with my cows, and I don't annoy the crap out of my people. So you want a little bit of Craig, but not too much. Just
Craig,
enough. You might want to work that balance in the podcast.
Craig, I know, Craig's being humble when he talks about Tony Robbins as someone that he respects. Tony Robbins is his patient, and I know a very good friend of his.
Whoa.
Besides Tony, where did you learn, or maybe the answer is just all Tony, but where did you learn these skills?
Oh man, I'm so blessed with friends. I have the most amazing crew of friends. Kind, honest, sincere, loving people. I am so if I was blessed with anything in life, it's my friends. My wife is through my best friend, Michael. My business knowledge through my friends, Michael, John, and Randy. It's just my friends. It's that simple saying, your
You are
network
who you
is your
surround
net.
yourself by.
Yeah. They're all fit. They're all happy. They're all married. They don't do there's no funny business. None of my friends do stupid things. We have fun, but they're ethical, good people. And I just feel like, almost like, if I'm just being intellectually honest, it's like, to my buddy John, I'm like, why do you even like me? You're so good to me. John's taking me on his Fed ship next week in the Bahamas. I'm like, what? How do I even deserve this? Like, how am I worthy of being friends with these people? And that's what lifted me up. And I've
So
always,
you never took like a leadership course or
no,
got a coach for leadership or how to be a boss or
no,
how to
I
talk to
watched
people,
them.
communication skills.
No, I asked John. I would ask my buddy. John is the type of person that, John is I'm using John as one example, but Michael's interchangeable with him. John's a billionaire, but a kind, humble man. He grew up in northern Canada shoveling manure in his uncle's farm and borrowed money and did it the hard way and almost went broke. But John will treat a waiter. He doesn't matter who you are in life. John will treat you with respect and thank you and be kind to you. And whenever I ran into trouble, I'm like, what would John do? And John's like, look, at the end of the day, you do things for you. Do things that make yourself proud. So when you fire that person, write them a severance. Give them a big severance. You can afford it. It won't matter to you, but I want you to look back in your life and be proud at everything you've ever done. So I'll fire an associate, say it's not working out, but here's a severance. And you know what? The other thing is, people know that you're doing that you're going to do that. So it's like, there's 3 currencies in life: emotion, time, and money. For me right now, and I'm not being cavalier, money is the most replenishable currency for me right now. If you tell me I could pay but not have to worry or think or suffer emotionally, if you tell me I could pay and save a lot of time, done. So, and in business, people don't think of that. They think business is the transactional exchange of just money. Business is a spiritual endeavor. It's taking care of people, the people that work with you, the families of the people that work with you. It's so much bigger than just money. And I think if we look at it as just money, we're losing out on the real beauty of business.
Sounds like you've had a great kind of loose mentorship through friendship.
There are people out there that have a bad friend group, and I want to speak to them. So, I grew up, in my high school class, my friends that I had, you were only cool if you did poorly in school. So I got booted from classes. My first semester at American University, I got a 0.9 grade point average because I was pledging a fraternity, getting drunk every night. I literally showed up by my organic chemistry class, and the teacher's like, "You're not supposed to be here." I'm like, "No, I'm enrolled." He's like, "I've never seen you once." I was like, "Just put the test down." So I was in a wrong friend group. And all I'm saying to people is what Ingrid said about, you are you are the product of people you hang around with. Be discerning. If there's someone in your friend group that's not doing well, and they're just constantly, there's problems in their life, or they're doing things that you're not proud of, you have to be discerning with how much you spend your time with them. And you want to cultivate a friend group that's fit and healthy and has a good family and spiritual alignment. It's going to be better for you. That's very important, just to bring that up. Sorry.
100%. And Craig, having known you very literally just on this podcast, from my understanding of you and kind of your story that you're telling, Kyle, to your question about leadership and have you ever taken a leadership course, what Kyle and Christian are going to say, I'm a broken record here. I've been reading this book now in the second time called Think and Grow Rich, and you kind of embody the core principles of that book, which is having a big vision and then just acting from like the goodness of serving people, like not like you want to make a lot of money, not you want to, whatever other ulterior motives, you have a vision and you want to help people and you have a plan to get there. And as long as you stick to that plan and you're constructive, you're going to get to where you want to get. And so I think that what I'm understanding from you is you learn leadership by sticking to your plan and coming from a good place.
Yeah, I think I've not read the book, but I do know those core principles. And this is not like this is not woo woo crap. This is real. Like, life serves those who serve life. So if you can serve people, if you can serve your team, if you can serve your patients, money is the lagging indicator to goodness. And even the Bible doesn't say, it's not that money's bad, it's the love of money is bad. But the exchange of money is for value that you bring to the world. And if you bring really good value, like Jeff Bezos deserves the billions.
Oh,
I
yeah.
ordered my creatine last night because I forgot it at 10 p.m. It was there at 4 a.m. Get that guy a boat. Like he deserves that. Howard Schultz from Starbucks. I can go anywhere, even in like Podunk, Ohio, no offense to your listeners, and get a good latte. I could never do that 10 years ago. Howard Schultz deserves this plane. Like, this whole hatred of capitalism is really
100%.
wild to me. It's like there should be a new metric of not the wealth that these entrepreneurs, like even Elon, that what his wealth is. What wealth has he brought to America? What wealth has he brought to the world?
How
So
many
that's the
people
same
are
thing,
being employed by these people?
right? Or even just if you own the S&P, if you're an investor in our economy, like these people are bringing value well
How much
beyond.
happiness,
Yeah.
how much convenience, how much
I wouldn't be able
time
to go to
that
my
we
ranch. I
save.
wouldn't have internet. I have solar at my ranch. I have, there's value. So I think it comes back to you as a business owner. It has to exist beyond you. So kind of tying in Christian's idea about the ego, it's not about you. I have this slide that I do at my Bulletproof Summit. It's this whole pie chart, and there's a small sliver. And the small sliver is the dentistry. And what really matters is everything else but the dentistry. They think it's all about the sliver, about my margin, like I'm a perfect margin. Patients presume erroneously that every licensed dentist is great.
That's right.
So they're looking for perceptions of value beyond that. And Steve Kelleher from Southwest Airlines famously said, if our interior cabins are unkept, people will worry about the safety of our aircraft. Same thing in dentistry. If you say, my patients don't mind not being scanned, my patients don't mind that my carpet's from 1954, They're actually scared shitless, and they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to leave your practice.
Mm, mm,
They don't tell you, Dr. Jones, I'm leaving you because you don't have a scanner.
mm.
They say, oh, Dr. Jones, nice to bump into you. Oh, yeah. My wife took me to a new practice down the street. They don't tell you. So you just go on thinking it's you. It's not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen this so much. You mentioned something before. You said like, oh, yeah, patients are just, you can't
They
trust them and they
commoditize them.
leave because of this and that. And I've seen that so much, especially recently with dentists and team members. They're like, oh, nobody
Yes,
wants to
big time.
work. I can never find anybody. And I'm like, maybe they don't want to work for someone who's not a good leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens first is this. The dentist, the psychology of the leader changes first. So I'm sorry, I'm like a Tony, I'm reciting everything Tony is just kind of, but Tony always says that the chokehold on every business is the psychology and skill set of its leader, and 90% is psychology.
Mm.
So what happens first?
Mm.
Bad employee quits, sues you, does something bad. Dentist starts saying, okay, employees are bad. Employees are a problem. So then you start treating Becky, who's a wonderful, caring employee, you start treating her a little bit worse. Oh, nice of you to show up. It's 2 minutes late. Oh, sorry, doctor. My daughter has 104 fever and we were in the ICU all night. Oh my God. Like, do you know what these people are dealing with? Like, while you're making your 150, 250, 300 grand, you're a rich dentist. These people, some of them are living paycheck to paycheck. And by the way, if you don't have $400 in your bank account and your kids get sick, that's an existential crisis for your world.
Mhm.
So like, put yourself in their shoes, God damn it. Like, think about what they're going through. So you start judging these people and then you commoditize them. You know how employees are, freaking employees. And then you start commoditizing the patient. All they care about is insurance. All they care about is the reimbursement. They don't value me. No, jackass, you didn't value them first. Let's be honest. It's like people say, like, if you treat your spouse like it's their first date, there'll never be a last date. But yet you treat people, you start taking them for granted, you commoditize them, and you're the one who started it.
Entitlement. And I think that too many people still believe that being an asshole is the shortcut to success.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't be too nice, Christian. You know how it is. They'll take advantage of you. You
Yes.
gotta be hard.
Yes.
You gotta be
Yes.
boss babe.
And for
Bullshit.
some reason, the successful assholes, they make more noise.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately know a lot of them.
I know a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know them very well, and I study their offices, and I do surveys in their offices. And I say, hey, asshole, look at these documents. Look what they think about you.
Yes.
I've had to do that. I was that asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Really love your whole approach to leadership through love and ethics and caring. We need more successful people openly talking about it. That is possible to succeed. Actually, that's the best way to succeed. Actually, that's the only definition of success, because the other
Massive scale,
is
scale
not.
is always built on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the asshole will get you to a certain level faster, but it'll cap you there. So sometimes just the sheer like energy, whether it's like boss babe or masculinity or whatever, like I'm a boss. You come in like people are like, oh shit, she's the boss. Okay, yeah, and it takes you from 1 to 5 very quickly, but then you'll stay at 5. You can't scale beyond that. The
There's
loving,
so much wisdom in this. There's just so much wisdom in what you're saying.
the loving approach will take you from 1 to 5 slower, but you'll build on concrete, and you can go to 50 from that.
Yeah, let me compliment. You mentioned that before. This is the highlight. I wrote it down as you were speaking, that sentence, the judgment sentence. Oh, I'm a loving person. Pay attention. Are you judging? And if you look, you're going to realize you're judging. You are judging. We judge. And that's
Yes.
when you lose that love. It's not the real loving.
The problem,
You're actually-
Christian, the problem is, Christian, people, human beings feel what you believe about them. Everyone has a built-in bullshit detector. So although you're saying you got the leadership sign, you're like, we all row in the same direction, all this bullshit, corporate say love and we're amazing. When you're sitting there like, Becky, you're such a freaking idiot. I can't believe that. And you pull it all again. Hey, Becky, I was kind of wondering, maybe you could get the report on time. You know how like we talked about this before? Yeah, that would be great. But in your mind, you're like, you idiot. They feel like I'm an idiot. So you actually have to change. So the first person you must lead is yourself. So you actually have to say, okay, Becky's probably dealing with a lot. Hey, Becky, is everything going okay in your personal life? No, doc, actually, it's not. Oh, I'm really glad I asked what's going on. My father has lung cancer and I was with him in the hospital. Oh my God. Holy smokes. Are you kidding me? What can I do?
I'm glad I didn't
Nothing, but
judge.
yeah, I'm glad I didn't judge because you were about to say, hey, the report is late. But if you knew that her father was dying, wouldn't you have more grace for her? Wouldn't you say, hey, your father's dying. Oh my God, fuck the report. Take care of
Greg, I
yourself.
would go a level further, because the first evolution is like, I don't want to judge, but then you are expecting obvious reason, right? Oh, my father has lung. Sometimes there's no obvious reason, and you have to continue not to judge. Sometimes the person doesn't even have an explanation for not performing, and you continue not judging, right? You need to
But you
believe
keep
in the
asking.
yeah, the
You
concept
keep
of not
asking.
judging needs to be full on. You need to embrace it. The concept, and to the point you say, it's not working among us. It's not working between us. We cannot work together anymore. But I'm still not judging you,
Right,
because
right,
I don't
right,
have the right to judge you.
right. So it's basically like, hey, I am making I'm making a presumption that you want to be here. You want to work here. Is that fair? Yeah, it's fair because what you're doing is not compatible with working here. And I could see if this continues, you're not going to work here. Or I'm making a presumption you want to work here. Is that really fair? Actually, no, I'm not really sure. I may want to move to Washington, D.C. Okay, great. Well, it's your behaviors are indicating to me that you want to move. So I'm glad we have alignment now. No big deal. Do you need a job in Washington, D.C.? I know a lot of docs over there, but that it's the battle over self. It is
It's
literally
a
the battle
it's
over self.
it's a simple, not easy tactic to your point, Christian, of what I do is just always, I try my best, right? And this is like the come to Jesus moment that came with building my business of always assuming the best because I wasn't always like that. I used to always assume the worst. But when I always assumed the best, things started working out way better for me.
It is so hard, and I
And
love that
that's a
you said
skill.
that it's the simple, not easy, and what do we do as dentists? We go sign up for the 5-minute endo course. We sign up for the how to grow from 7 to 15 practices, how to do this, how to run a duplex. It's just everything but work on me. It's like, please, is there anything? Can I just? I asked my masterminders all the time. What do you need? I need marketing. Okay, great. Why? I don't know. I want to make more money. How quickly can you see a new patient? Well, we're booked up like 6 months. So every dollar you spend on marketing, you're pissing people off. Imagine saying like, come to Pepe's Italian restaurant. Oh, we can't see you for 6 months. Like, who cares? You're going to give you a negative review on Yelp if you do that. So I think it's just no one wants to look in the mirror. That's the hardest thing. And getting full circle, my friend group has no problem telling me point blank, I'm being a jackass. If you have a friend group that is keeping you complacent, it's a comfort circle. It is not true challenge. And my
Solving
friends,
any
my
problem
buddy
starts with
Michael last
self-awareness.
yeah, my buddy Michael last night was tearing me apart over something over like we have a trip to Greece and I'm critiquing. He's like, if you want to critique it and blah, blah, blah. And he was being so harsh on me. But it's like I appreciate honest, loving feedback.
Direct to your face. I want to take a quick pivot since we're coming to the end because you've obviously been in this for, you figured it out in a lot of ways. For our listeners, you mentioned focusing on innovation. What sort of innovation do you think dentists should be focusing on today? You mentioned scanners. What else?
A business should always be constantly innovating. You have to stay fresh. There's so much competition. There's so many interesting, unique providers of dentistry and modalities that it's incumbent upon you to stay fresh. You can't just do what you've done. So even in this facility, I'm redoing everything. We're tearing down every single surface in the building. We're renovating, redoing everything. It's only 12 years old, but it needs that fresh thing. Focusing on what's best for patients. Unfortunately, the dental industry pushes out, and we do the beta testing. They push out things prematurely. I'm a victim of, the lavas and the targus vectorises and all those different things that I pushed out on my patients. I think dentistry, although it's going fast, you have an obligation to protect the patient. So move slower, wait till things are tested. I think I'm a big believer in like slower dentistry, to coin our friend. I think that there's a lot of sexy before and after pictures, but I don't think any of the three of us have veneers in our mouth. Like I would want to, God makes the best teeth. So I think it's best to, no one has cracked the code on better teeth than God at this point. So it's incumbent
Hallelujah.
upon us to be very slow. And I talk a lot of people out of restorative, cosmetic-based dentistry. But I think just care about the patient. The biggest hack you could ever have to be a successful dentist is to care. Like, it's not a marketing call. It's not anything else. It's just truly care. Why don't you have a mouthful of veneers then? If you do, 1,000 veneers a year or whatever, why do you not have it? Why does no one in this office have it?
I think you nailed a very important problem. That is, I believe there was a change on the main reason why people were choosing dentistry. I see my father, your father's dentist. There was a very clear reason. I want to take care of my patient. Some point in the early 2000s, or beginning of social media, created this image that you could become a millionaire and have everything as a dentist. And I see too many young dentists choosing dentistry for the wrong reason. Dentistry is generous, amazing profession, and you can have a great life. But if you really want to become a billionaire, do something else.
Yes. Amen. Yeah. Someone's got to lose if you want to become a billionaire. Who's going to lose? Is it your patient or is it going to be you? Yeah. I wish dentistry would slow down. I think the before and after is amazing, but the destruction, I get freaked out about destruction of tooth. I'm very careful with it.
Honestly, the before and after is a problem. The focus on the before and after is a huge social problem.
Well, Craig, I wish that every dentist in the United States and beyond could listen to this episode.
That is beautiful.
All right, well, spend some money and promote it.
This is beautiful.
I'll do it.
It's like it's just like all the wisdom that every dentist needs to know to have a successful career. So thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story and your wisdom. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so thank you for having me, of course. And you said something I just have to correct. You said I have it all figured out. I really don't. I'm still making a lot of big mistakes. I'm shocked at the level of mistakes I'm still making. But I guess it's just good news that we're all growing. Of course, at Bulletproof Dental Practice, you can find me there on Instagram at Craig Spodak. But I want to just acknowledge the three of you, because what you're doing for dentistry, we need this. There needs to be more of this conversation, because people need to hear alternate viewpoints. And there's a strong, persistent narrative. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. Dentistry is a beautiful profession, and you can craft a practice that works specifically for what you want to do. And you can do great at it, and you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody else. Do what makes you happy. Getting what you want is the greatest fulfillment. Figure out what you want and go exactly craft that unique thing for yourself.
I love it.
Bam.
Wow.
Thanks,
Bang.
guys.
Mic drop.
I don't know. Mine's on a stem, so I can't drop it. But nice to see you all. Thanks for the invitation.